Hello YouTubers and RC car fanatics. Gary here with RC Car Fanatic, bringing you the next installment of our unboxing of the Traxxas Slash with onboard audio. I'd like to take a few minutes, give you a quick review of the truck, talk to you a little bit about what I liked about it, what I didn't like about it, some of the issues that I had, and the plans moving forward. Then I'd like to get into the speed run videos, which are going to include a nice flipping crash, all caught on camera. Overall, I gotta tell you, I really had a lot of fun with this truck. Right out of the box, it's pretty exciting. I think the onboard audio is what really makes it initially exciting. I haven't gotten tired of the sound yet. It hasn't gotten old. It actually still kind of makes me giggle running up and down the street. So that kind of goes a long way. Aside from that, though, there are a few things about the truck that definitely need some improvement. I can tell you that pretty much anything over 20-25 miles an hour, the way the truck's set up, the high CG chassis, the suspension, it's a little bit unstable and it wants to roll over a lot. That's the part that got probably the most frustrating to me, is that it's really hard to drive this thing on any kind of high grip surface and keep it from flipping over. Once I started going to the optional pinion and spurs and the speeds started getting higher and higher, then it became pretty hard to keep it from flipping over, pretty much just driving in a straight line. Yes, you could drive it in a straight line and go quick, but if I had to make a turn or a maneuver, I felt every time I was driving it that it would just want to flip. Matter of fact, it's how I got it to crash. I was going at the highest speed that it can go, which was about 30 miles an hour, and some of it 100% my fault. I positioned myself in a way where I was too close to an obstacle that I should be paying attention to. In this particular case, it was my neighbor's car. And when the truck went by, I had to turn to watch it go by, and when I watched it go by, I noticed that it was lined up directly with my neighbor's car, which was parked outside on the street. I guess we can make an argument about where their car should be, but nonetheless, I had to turn my head to watch it go by, and when I noticed it was going right up my neighbor's car's tailpipe, I tried to turn it even slowly out of the way, and it flipped over end over end over end over end. Luckily the truck's tough, nothing broke, including the camera. Here's the camera right here. It mounts on the roof. This thing there's some good scratches on it. I'm not sure if that comes out on camera or not, but camera actually took quite a good beating and continued to work. I did videos subsequently after that with no problem. So, some of the things we noticed about the truck out of the box is that the alignment, I think, wasn't spot on. I kept having to had to really dial a lot of steering adjustment in to get it to go straight, and I think some of that was affecting the speeds, which we'll just jump right into and talk about the speeds. So on the box it says it'll do 30 plus miles an hour. I personally could not get it to do 30 miles an hour with the stock battery. This battery right here, I could not get, I'll turn it right side up for you, I could not get 30 miles an hour with this battery. I got close, 29.4 to 29.6 with the GPS speed, but I could just never do 30 miles an hour. With this battery, actually these two batteries, 2S LiPo, this is a 60C 5000 milliamp battery, excellent battery actually, and this is a 100C 7200 milliamp battery, also excellent battery. I was able to get 31 miles an hour out of the truck. Let's get into the breakdown of the gearing with the stock gearing, the 90, 18, 22 to 23 miles an hour is the best you can do. The 90, 23 optional pinion, 27 to 28 miles an hour, best you can do. And then when I put the optional spur in the optional pinion, 86, 23, I was able to achieve 29 to 31 miles an hour. The one thing that I thought was interesting is that in every case, the 2S LiPo beat out the nickel metal hydride battery. On paper, you probably would not think this to be the case because this is an 8.4 volt battery and this is a 7.4 volt battery. Although people are familiar with LiPos, they do charge up to 4.2 volts per cell. 2-cell battery in series 2S. You do get 8.4 volts fully charged. All my speed runs I did with the battery right off the charger. So 8.4 volts for 8.4 volts. I still went faster with the 2S LiPo. Now understanding how motors work and the more voltage you apply to them, the faster they turn. They have KV ratings, right? It's a certain amount of revolutions per volt. You think that 8.4 volts, 8.4 volts should be able to put out the same speed. And I got to thinking that, well, what's probably going on here is we're probably needing to overcome some drag. In this particular case, I really believe the suspension out of the box and the alignment, more particularly the alignment, was probably inducing a little bit of drag in the system, and we were getting more wattage. And this is really important to understand how the motor works. The motor works by outputting power, and that power is in the form of wattage. Wattage comes from volts times amps. And for those of you who aren't familiar, this 2S LiPo, or any battery for that matter, has this rating. The last rating is a C rating, 60C, 25C, 100C. Some of you may not know what that means. Although this isn't the topic of the video, I figured let's just get into it because it has some relevance to what's been going on with the truck. So in this particular case, our 60C rating, 5,000 milliamp, says that this battery should be able to put out continuous discharge of 60 times the capacity C. Capacities 5,000 milliamps or 5 amp hours should be able to put out 5,000 milliamps times 60 in terms of amperage. You multiply that by 7.4 and that gives you the total wattage available. And this battery here is 7,200 milliamp times 100C. So this thing should put out 720 amps. 720 amps times 7.4 volts is the amount of wattage we can get out of this continuous. Right? I'm not really sure the wiring, the solder connections, ESC. Well, there's some good ESCs out there that can handle 720 amps, but none that I know continuous. So what does that mean? It means that I think to overcome the drag, the motor required additional wattage over what the nickel metal hydride battery was able to produce. And because these are all at 8.4 volts fully charged, the LiPo can put out more amperage than the nickel metal hydride, equating to more wattage. We were able to see consistently, and this was consistent, every speed run was 1 to 1.5 miles an hour faster on the LiPo than the nickel metal hydride. I personally believe had I put this on the alignment pad, got the alignment straight, squared away, I probably would have seen a smaller gap, if not no gap between the two. But I really believe that this truck, out of the box, I had a lot of drag in just driving it down the street, requiring a little bit more power from the motor, which the standard battery was just not able to produce. Nonetheless, I came really close, 29.6, you would round that up to 30 miles an hour anyway, so I think we can say that it does achieve what it's supposed to out of the box, but just barely, just barely. Again, I said 31 and I think I got really 31 and a half miles an hour out of the nickel metal hydride. So that being said, pretty happy with the truck. I'm pretty excited to get rid of this chassis, put some upgrades into this thing, and really make it fun. I gotta be honest with you, I'm a power guy. I love speed. I really like to go fast. So for me, going fast and being able to handle well really, really excites me. That's what I'm personally into. It's probably not for everybody, but that's what I'm into. I'm into something that goes really quick, can handle pretty much anything, and that's hoping what I can do with this thing. And there's a lot of guys out there that have two-wheel drive, short course race trucks. You have guys with Losis and Associated and things like that. And those things come out of the box meant to go fast on a racetrack, things like that. It's not really why people buy a Slash. One of the things I'm hoping for, though, is hoping to see if we can look to match the performance of some of these race-bred two-wheel drive trucks with basically bolt-ons that you can buy, anyone can buy, and put them on, follow the directions, and nothing all that tricky about it, and see if we can get the Slash to be as good as some of these things while still being a Slash and fun and everything that we want it to be. So that being said, overall really happy with the sound. I think it's great. It hasn't gotten old. I love it tremendously. The handling is for my liking pretty poor, and this thing is really high off the ground, really high off the ground. Even the Rustler that I have standard handles significantly better than this, but looking forward to getting the upgrades in, and we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it all. We're gonna get the upgrades on. I'm gonna get it on the scale pad, get it on the alignment. Let's get a quick look at some of the equipment we're gonna be working with here. So here's our Huddy setup system and Sky RC scale pads. We'll even be balancing the wheels and tires. Try to just get as much performance as we can out of it. Well, that's it. Thank you guys so much for the comments and subscribing. Really appreciate it. We have a lot of videos to go from here. This is just the second one. I got tons of things planned for you guys. So I'm just trying to get it all done. But thank you guys very much. Let's get into the speed run videos, and see you next time. Thank you. Hey guys, really quick, a few things I want to touch on and clarify. I was reviewing the video I just finished, and one of my goals is to try to bring you the most accurate, technically correct information, and a few things I want to touch on and clarify, a couple of things that I like to just go back over. First, in reviewing the video, I noticed that I had a Freudian slip when I was talking about the top speeds. I said that I got to 31.5 miles an hour on the nickel metal hydride. That's incorrect. I was looking at the nickel metal hydride it was the 2S LiPo. In no time was able to get over 29.6 mph on the nickel metal hydride, but I did crack 31 miles an hour on the 2S LiPo. Like I said, I was just probably looking at the battery and said nickel metal hydride. Apologize for that. Second thing is, when I was talking about charging up the LiPo, they do charge up to 4.2 volts per cell, and I was basically equating that to the 8.4 volt of the 7-cell nickel metal hydride. Nickel metal hydride batteries also charge up to more than the 1.2 nominal volts per cell. 1.2 volts, 7 cells, 8.4 volts. When they come off the charger, they do come off closer to 1.4 to 1.5 volts per cell, which makes it around 9.8 to 10.5 volts. So you're really actually comparing about a 10 volt battery to an 8.4 volt battery off the charger, which makes it even more surprising why it wasn't quicker. But the nickel metal hydride battery does drop down to its nominal voltage pretty quickly while running. So for the basically trying to get the best apples to apples argument, I really was just looking at 8.4 to 8.4, because the 2S LiPo will stay close to 8.4 volts, 4.2 to 4.1 something volts for the first few runs, and then it'll start to fall off very gradually. But it does fall off very gradually. It's one of the advantages to the LiPo battery is that it will stay at a higher voltage significantly longer, and it has this really fat kind of like power usable available range that before it tapers off quickly. Well, the nickel metal hydride basically starts here and just goes down, 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 down. The 2S LiPo starts here, drops slowly, kind of holds, and then right at the end takes a quick nosedive. So you get a lot more runtime at higher voltages and output on the LiPo. It's one of the reasons I think some people were asking me about how it was wheeling. That was actually on this battery, the 100C output. This thing has a lot of punch. I would nail the throttle and it would pick the front up. So trying to make an apples to apples comparison, I basically just went to these two batteries for making the speed runs. In the video, I'll include some still shots of the car with the battery installed and a picture of the speed on the Garmin. Let's see what else. Also, I talked about how I thought the alignment was draggy, and I think you can actually see a really good example of this in the speed run with the nickel metal hydride battery. And that's, I have this really, really long run where it's going pretty straight, and you could watch the GPS speed, and it's pretty much pegged. It stopped moving. I know that that was the absolute maximum speed it can go. But then you can see with just a little bit of steering correction, it would drop down 2/10, come back up 2/10. And like I said, in the section of the video, you can see where it's going for a really long time in a straight line, but just the tiniest little steering corrections, and you could see the speed drop off and then come back up again. One of the things I was trying to do, understanding that any steering input affects the speed, trying to drive these things as straight as I could all times. One of the reasons why I almost crashed it, or actually I did crash it, but I almost crashed it to my neighbor's car with the 2S LiPo, and that's, I was really just trying to get to go straight, as long and as fast as I could. And again, I didn't position myself in such a way where that when I had to turn to watch it go the other way, I had enough time to react to any obstacles. And so anytime you guys do any kind of speed runs, absolutely take time to do it in a safe place, watch out for obstacles, and think about where you position myself. That was a mistake I made. I should have positioned myself further away from an obstacle, so when it went by and I had to turn to watch it go by, I would have enough time and distance to understand if there was an obstacle there. And I probably should have made some kind of reference as to where I should have been on the road, so I could have just lined up on that reference point, or some you know, part of the pavement, things like that, to avoid an obstacle. Again, anytime you guys are doing any kind of speed runs out there, I really advise taking the most precaution you can, understanding that even at 20-25 miles an hour, this thing weighs 4 pounds. It can definitely hurt you, hurt some property, things like that. You know, hurt people around you. I actually even had my kids who love to be around my hobby. You know, at one time I think they were trying to play chicken with the car, and you know, I had to talk to them about that. But they love being around the cars. I encourage them to be part of the hobby and be with me. Matter of fact, I think even in the video they were just outside where I was shooting, making faces and some noise, and I think you can hear that in the background. But again, like I said, I try not to discourage them from being near the hobby, so they're probably going to be in a lot more of the videos, or at least bits of them, moving forward. So hope you guys don't mind that. With that being said, I think that's all the points I wanted to clarify. Again, thank you guys for all the comments. Looking forward to putting out a lot more videos for you guys, different build-ups, things like that. Just trying to get through them all and do it in a timely manner where I can actually make a video. I am pretty tempted to just jump into these things and start modding them, and keep having to remind myself I should probably space it out and segment it to some things that I can make a useful video. My goal really is to try to share some information with you guys, talk about what I've learned, what I know, and hopefully pick up some stuff from you guys, the audience. So thank you very much, and enjoy the speed runs.